whatever you wind up doing is exactly what you should be doing.
And I have not behaved one single day of my life. Not one day of my life have I behaved, and I am fine.
I need your help. I can't tell you what it is. You can never ask me about it later, and we're gonna hurt some people.
Whose car are we gonna take?
Happy Friday. Thank you. The show coming up, a gas app warning that has zilch to do with your car and everything to do with your kids. Yes, it's some slang that's going on. So there's a gas app warning I'll be discussing this morning. Thanks for joining us on the Nikki Medoro Show on YouTube, live every day starting at noon. Also coming up, if you have been wanting to get your hands on Taylor Swift tickets, there is a dessert company that's getting pretty clever and giving a Willy Wonka twist to the clamoring for these very hard to find and expensive tickets. KeKe Palmer, who watched SNL over the weekend, KeKe Palmer has confirmed the rumors that they're true. So that's also coming up. I'll have a picture of her confirming that rumor. Some big hellos and a very sad goodbye in the TikTok world. I know TikTok might be, not around for very much longer, but there was a very exciting addition to TikTok and a very sad goodbye that I'll tell you about. Price gouging. Governor Newsom, Kim McAllister will likely have this in her news. The new legislative session, very ceremonial today. The work doesn't really begin until January, but Newsom has his eyes on the oil companies and price gouging. And then I will share with you a story from this weekend. And you want to talk price gouging. I'm going to show you. I did not pay. I did not go. I priced it out and said, hell no. But I'll show you what this company thought I should actually pay to go and visit them. And well, weigh in on getting rid of the Constitution. The former President Trump, he posted on his stupid Truth Social. He basically said we should throw out the Constitution because of election fraud and what happened in 2020. Then he tries to walk it back. The problem is, dumbass, you already posted it. So it's going to be really hard when people have the receipts, right? It's going to be really hard to walk that back. So that's all coming up. Also, next hour, I had teased this on Friday, but next hour, I will be welcoming a reporter for military.com. And we're going to get into that convicted oath keeper, Stuart Rhodes. He was convicted. He's the one with the eye patch. And not a funny, but story about how he lost that eye. But anyways, Drew Lawrence contributed to this article on military.com looking at Rhodes and how he preyed on veterans. And it's infuriating and it can happen again. And we'll discuss it. He spoke with so many people about how this sort of thing happens for people that have been in the military, and how we can maybe find ways for them to fill their lives with something other than military service, because that's how Stuart Rhodes preyed on him. Now, I was a little late. I was a couple minutes late. And the reason why I was late is because Nugget is at my window. Say hello, Nugget. Sorry, everybody. I'll just mute myself so you don't hear me yelling at my dog. That's Nugget. We have a PG&E guy that had to knock on my door right when I was about to hit live. So thanks for everybody for being a little bit patient. Okay, but before we get into all that, please click the thumbs up button to support the show. It's very easy, very simple way for you to support the show. Hello to everybody watching on Facebook. You can join us on YouTube as well and into our live chat community, because the super chat is live. And it's a simple way for you to throw the show some money. I will read your comment live. You can give a super sticker. Also, a super thanks. It's really, really easy. You can donate any amount you want to. But the biggest and best way to support the show and make sure that it happens and continues to happen into the new year is to become a monthly subscriber. And you get to choose the amount that you can pay every single month. So think about it. Do you want to buy me a coffee every day, every month? Just go to the NikkiMedoroShow.com and you'll find a link to our Patreon there. It's also in the description of the show as well, if you just want to click right there. And yeah, if you become a monthly subscriber, that gives us the consistent money that we need to keep the show going. I've been talking about the merchandise. Full disclosure, everyone that's on my Patreon, I will be doing an unboxing. I did receive one thing. I'm trying to receive everything so we can have a whole kind of show. I think I'm going to have 4 different items initially for sale for the Nikki Medoro show. And if you're a Patreon subscriber, you're going to get first dibs at it because these are got a limited edition for a while until I consistently get the money and the sales because it costs me money to do it. So just want to make sure the demand is there before I start buying a lot of inventory. So the Patreon subscribers will get first dibs and will know what's included. And then, of course, I will show you guys all of it on the show after that. But if you want first dibs and you want a little sneak peek into all this sort of stuff, please consider donating to my Patreon. Again, the NikkiMedoroShow.com, and the Patreon link is right there. And of course, a big shout out to our exclusive founding sponsor, Steve Moskowitz. He is the tax guy, tax attorney that you need to call, especially as we're ending 2022. There are things you could do at the end of the year to make sure that you're prepared and saving money come tax time. So give Steve a call, 888 tax deal, or go to moskowitzllp.com. All right, let's get into it. Yeah, but first, I, of course, have to mention that game. The 49ers kicked the Dolphins' butts, but oh my God, we lost Jimmy. I don't know if I jinxed it or what, but I was telling my husband, and I think I said on this show as well, it's so lucky that we have someone as good as Jimmy, because can you imagine Trey Lance right at the beginning of the season injures himself? I mean, obviously Jimmy's done a lot. I will say I was reading some analysis, and it's not as if the 49ers, not that we don't need Jimmy, but we have a great team. I mean, there are so many amazing players that, as we saw on Sunday, Jimmy's out at the beginning of this game. And it's up against a team that's really good. They've been on a winning streak. We've been on a winning streak. And then Jimmy breaks his foot. I mean, I was hoping it was a sprain. Maybe he's out for, a game or two. But no, so they have to put Brock Purdy in. And I think that what we saw was how good the rest of our players are in making sure that we can still win. So between Deebo Samuel, McCaffrey is amazing. Ayuk, George Kittle, Bosa was awesome. I hope we can keep it going. We're at the top of our division. But I just got to show you just one picture. There's my Jimmy. It really, really sucks. It really does. I think this was the play. I think it was the play where he broke his foot. But it happens. And like Kyle Shanahan was saying, it's a rough game. You get hurt. And wouldn't it be amazing, though? I think I was hearing someone say, maybe it was on Mark's show, what a story is first off, Jimmy coming back to begin with. Do you know how much pride you have to swallow to come back and be a backup quarterback to a team where you were a starter? So then the starter gets hurt. So you step back in graciously and kick butt, and then you get injured. And Brock Purdy, the third string quarterback, comes in and we win the Super Bowl, which is, of course, my dream. A little connection, though, that my family has to Brock Purdy is my nephew in Arizona, where Purdy grew up, I guess. They played for the Purdy plays for the youth football team that my nephew did. And so, Santan youth football or something like that. So, yeah, there's a little bit of a connection there, but good luck, Purdy, because you're going to need it. Kind of keeping in the sports realm real quickly. Did you hear this crazy story with Dr. Pepper? Let me show you this picture. So apparently, there was this contest where you could win $100,000 in tuition. And it was between these two ladies right here, Baylor student Reagan Whitaker and St. Augustine student Kayla Gibson. And basically, what they had to do is they had to shoot baskets over and over and over again. And whoever got the most baskets won $100,000 in tuition. Well, apparently, they were tied all the way up to the end. And so, but one woman got it and the other one didn't. And so everyone was booing, like, what the hell happened? How can you give it to one and not the other? I guess there was this pre qualifying round that wasn't shown, and that Reagan Whitaker had scored the most points in the preliminary round, making her the official winner of the contest, which I call BS. Not that it doesn't happen, but you need to disclose that because people are rooting for something. You want to know if somebody has a handicap. But after all of the backlash, as you see in that picture that I just put up, Dr. Pepper's like, we don't need this bad PR. Sorry, just ignore Nugget. They don't need the bad PR, and so they gave tuition to both of the ladies. All right, let me make my dog. Oh, let's talk a little SNL while the dog is just barking. Sorry, just had to yell at my dog. Did anybody watch SNL? KeKe Palmer was on fire during SNL, and I don't usually watch SNL live, but the reviews were so big that I had to watch it. I had to tune in. KeKe Palmer was really funny. She does the best impressions ever. And let me show you a picture. So there were rumors flying about her. And so right at her opening monologue, she's like, you know what? You know what I'm going to do? I am going to confirm the rumors in the best way possible. And here's what she did. There you go, baby. So she was wearing this kind of trench coat looking thing and it was all zipped up. And she's like, people are making rumors about me that I'm pregnant. KeKe's pregnant. Well, let me tell you. And she opens up her jacket and she says, yes, the rumors are true. She's like, I had sex. I got pregnant. So there you go. It's, I don't know if I've shared this story about how I revealed the first time that I was pregnant. I was like the second time, it's like, okay, I'm pregnant. It doesn't need to be a big old thing. I know gender reveal things, but I didn't know the gender or the sex of my child until they were born. But I remember with my first kid, and let's welcome Kim McAllister into the show right now. I'm talking about how KeKe Palmer was on SNL, Kim, and she unveiled that she was pregnant live on it because everybody was having rumors about it. And so I was saying how I told my family that I was pregnant with my first child because we were not planning on getting pregnant. It's not that we were trying not to have a kid. I wasn't on birth control or anything anymore. But we're like, if it happens, it happens. And I remember I found out I was pregnant. I tried to keep it from my husband, but he totally guessed. And then we're like, how are we gonna tell the family? And it was around my mother's birthday. And so we went and I couldn't get a doctor's appointment because we were leaving that weekend and I wanted to have something. I wanted something to confirm that I was pregnant. And so ended up going to Planned Parenthood. And I was like, I need a pregnancy test and I need something to tell me if I'm pregnant. And I remember because it's Planned Parenthood, I'm sitting there with my husband and she comes in and she's like, well, I don't know if it's good news or bad news, but you're pregnant.
Sure.
And so we were very happy about it. And she printed it out and I made a copy. And at my mother's birthday party, I gave my mother-in-law and my mother both of the handouts. Of course, my mother-in-law figures it out instantly, but doesn't say anything. Hold on one second. No.
Oh, Nugget. Nugget, somebody's at the door. Nugget's going
No,
crazy.
it's the PG&E guy that I was trying to convince to come back in 2 hours, but they're never going to do that. So anyways, so my mother-in-law figures it out instantly, but she's waiting because she's waiting for my mother to figure it out. My mother, the pediatric nurse for like decades, took forever to figure it out. Like she's reading it and she's looking at it and I'm like, woman, it's not that difficult. I think I even highlighted something. And
That's
finally
crazy. Like, how many
finally
pregnancy tests has she seen in charts over the years, right?
well, yeah, I think it was just like a letter. It was like a form letter or something like that. I
Mhm.
don't remember exactly how it looked, but just read it, woman. And finally she looks at me. She's like, "Is this you?" And I'm like, "Yes, it's me. Obviously, it's me. I just handed it to you." And she went nuts. She was so freaking happy because this is the same mother that had told me probably within the last year before I gave her that my eggs were getting old, that I needed to get
Oh,
on it because
what?
yeah. She told me, she's like, your eggs are just getting older. And I was like, I know. I mean, my husband and I had been married for 4 years. So it was kind of like, what the hell are you waiting for?
How
But
old
we
were
were
you when
having a
you got
damn good
pregnant?
time. 30. I had her when I was 30, so 29.
Oh my
Yeah.
god. And she was worried about your old eggs at 29?
I know, right? Well, I mean, she
Wow.
knew that I wanted more than one child.
Right.
And again, pediatric nurse, right? So she's like, "You don't want
I
it to
love
be
Luz.
difficult, blah 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 blah." And she was saying
That's
it in a
rude.
joking manner, and totally. So I
That's
said it
rude.
was rude too. And I'm like, "Mom," and she's like, "I'm just telling. I'm just saying." That's my mom. Just saying. Just saying. And I'm like, "Okay." Do you remember how you told? Because I know that you did IVF. So was
Yes,
there a
I
big
did.
announcement?
My husband knew both times before I did because I was
Really?
at work at Station X, and the call came in, and he took the call. And one of them was, "You're pregnant," and the second
Okay.
time it was, "You're not pregnant." Like, the levels were low, and they just weren't sure,
Okay.
and it took weeks and weeks and weeks to confirm whether it worked or not. But yeah, no, I got lucky 2 times. But I don't know if I
Yeah.
would ever show up on live television with my belly hanging out, my big pregnant belly. Like, I think a
Yeah.
pregnant belly is a beautiful thing, and your
Oh,
body
that looks really
changing
good.
is
Right.
amazing, but still, I might not wanna put it out there like, "Here's my belly.
Yeah.
Here it is. Here's
I
my big swollen baby boobs." I don't know if I wanna be out there like that.
I remember, with my first child, I was working in Sacramento with one of our old bosses, Drew Sanzer, and he
Mhm.
was the news director up there at the time, and I remember I did not buy really maternity clothes, when I was pregnant. I my favorite thing to do was I would take jeans and I just get like a hair tie so that it would kind of stretch the button because I was all belly. I didn't gain
Right.
weight anywhere else. And I
I
remember I
hate
was
people
also
like you. Hate you. The
but the thing is I
worst.
also didn't buy new shirts. And so I remember I was wearing this t-shirt, well like a just a solid colored shirt. And it was barely covering the bottom of my belly. I remember Drew just being like, "Your belly's hanging out." I was like, "Oh, I tuck that belly in." It was so funny. But yeah, I don't know if I was on national television, but the pregnant belly is just so gorgeous. I don't care what the rest of the woman looks like. Just that round belly. I adore it. I think it's gorgeous. So congratulations to KeKe Palmer. And hopefully she has a very smooth pregnancy because being a mother, as Kim McAllister and I know, is not easy. And I have to laugh at this. This mom went viral, Kim, for a Facebook post that she made. Okay, I'm going to show you the picture that she showed. So this was her picture. Oh, do I have it? I might not have it. Oh yeah, here it is. Okay, so this is a picture. Kid playing with the train around the tree. Looks how gorgeous it all
And
is,
look at the
right?
new see, that's the new thing is the tree collar instead of a tree
Are you
skirt.
talking about that like wicker basket looking thing?
Uh-huh. Yeah, it's a tree
Yeah.
collar. Mhm.
Oh, is that what they call it?
That's the
A
new thing.
collar. Yeah, I'm not
Yeah,
doing any of that. I have the little thing that just velcros around it, like a red
yeah,
type of thing. That's all
yeah.
I have. But she posted this long thread about how it's exhausting to be a parent during Christmas. She starts it off by saying, "Y'all, just like every other mom in America, I've been creating Christmas magic since 8 a.m. and I'm so damn tired. I cracked open a beer at 4:55 p.m. and told both my children that if they asked me for another thing tonight, I was going to cry." And then she goes on into what she has: two big trees, two small trees, the mantle, the stairs, the Christmas village, all the nooks and crannies of the house to decorate. And that's just the inside.
Well, why are you
Um,
making all this work for yourself?
Thank you. That's
Why
exactly what I was
I
going to
can't you
say.
put up a single tree, maybe a little garland,
Thank
slap up
you.
a stuffed Santa or something, done. Why do you have to do my mom is like this and my aunt, where every single like, they take down all the rest of the stuff that was in their house and replace it with all the Christmas things. So
Yeah.
it takes like a full, week to get ready and decorate for Christmas. But you know what
Yep.
happens at the end? Then you have to take all that crap back down. So why don't you just make it easy for yourself? You know?
Exactly.
Why you
Exactly.
gotta every nook and cranny? My ass. No way, man.
Well, I know people again, I know people that really love to go all out. Like the minute Thanksgiving is done, they are all about decorating. And they have their boxes of stuff that they get. They
Yeah.
buy it on discount the day after Christmas so they can get everything. Um, we are still in the kind of just do the tree. I have a couple little decorations that I put up, but I'm not a big decorator, also because I gotta put it all away. It has to go
Yeah.
somewhere. Yeah. And so but what I will say is I'm very honest with my family about what I want to do and what I don't want to do. And
Yeah.
so my kids, we went to Target and just, kind of looking around for some stuff. And my daughter and my son say, "Ooh, let's do a gingerbread house." Who else like me doesn't like doing gingerbread houses? Because
'Cause
what
of the
it does it
mess?
end up being?
The
Well,
mess.
it's the mess, but I don't really mind the
Yeah.
mess. Normally, we get the not already pre-made, so you have to put it together. So what does that mean? That means that somebody's house isn't going together, the icing isn't strong enough, somebody starts getting upset that that person's gingerbread house looks better than that person's gingerbread. It just becomes more of a headache than the daydream that everybody thinks it's going to be. And so my son smartly bought a pre-made gingerbread house to decorate. My daughter, on the other hand, wanted to put the walls together on her own. And I just looked at her straight in the face. I'm like, fine, but I'm not helping. I'm like, you put it together yourself. You do whatever you want yourself, but don't come crying to me if it doesn't stay together like it doesn't all the time. Seriously, Christmas martyr mom is missing the point. If it doesn't bring her joy, why is she going to that extreme? Murphy, I love this comment. And
Yeah.
that's why I told my kids, I don't want to hear it.
Yeah.
I am fine buying you the gingerbread house. You want to have a ball doing whatever you want to the house, knock yourself out. But don't be bringing aggravation into my life. I don't need any of that nonsense right now. Oh, and
You know
by
what
the way,
drives me crazy
it
about the
is Monday, not
gingerbread house
Friday, by the way. Yeah, go ahead.
is that they sit on a shelf, right?
Yes, collecting ants.
You
Yes.
look at them collecting ants and rats and what have you, and then you throw them away.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
It's
mean,
not like
no
you
one ever
eat
really
it.
eats it, no.
It's
It
gross even
just
touching it all over the place. Like, no,
and it's been
no, you're not
sitting
gonna do
out,
it.
and then
It's
you
gross.
chuck it, and so it is the
Yeah.
whole thing I mean, it's fun but wasteful, you know?
It is. Well, and I'm also not a huge gingerbread cookie fan. So I'm not one of those people like, oh, that looks delicious. The gumdrops that you get in the kits are usually hard because they're not solid. I don't know. There's nothing really appetizing. I know someone though that would do it all like from scratch. They would make the gingerbread pieces. They would make all of those things. Now,
No.
if you like doing that sort of thing, do it. Honestly, knock yourself out. But if not, don't bother me with that crap because I have zero desire to do any of that stuff. And if I'm getting aggravated, then it makes me feel like I'm not in the Christmas spirit. Um Mo Direct 3D print the house and make her an architect. That's really funny. So yeah, I'm only going to do things that's like it's a not a New Year's resolution, it's a life resolution. I only do things that I want to do and that I enjoy even when it comes to the holidays. Um Go ahead.
My
Did you
husband's getting even more lazy, and he's like, why do
uh
you put all the ornaments on the tree? Why don't you just put a couple? Why don't you just, you can't really see the back of the tree. You can see the back of the tree from the window, right? The
Oh,
front of
then
the
you have
tree
to
we
decorate
see.
it.
Well,
No,
yeah,
you have
but
to decorate it then.
see, it's far. So if you were from the street, you wouldn't really notice maybe with the lights that there weren't ornaments
Mm,
hanging on it. He's like, just
possibly.
put them on the front. Don't put them all. Just put a couple. I'm like, no, now you're really lazy, getting lazy on me.
Do you decorate the tree or does the whole family? How does that work?
We do it all together. Yeah.
Oh, see, so I put the lights on. So my husband brings in the tree and puts it in the stand. Okay. And then I put the lights on with some help from like my son or someone help me like wrap it around. Although our
Right.
tree this year is the perfect height. I didn't even need any help. And then the kids, we just sat on the couch with our cocktails in our hands and just said, okay, go decorate. And, and it was funny. You could definitely see like my son put all the ones with his picture because we have like picture ornaments and the things that the kids made on each side. But it's cute. And it's definitely not one of those out of a magazine type trees. These are kid ornaments. No, they're like the memory ornaments. And I love it. And it's perfect. And it's honestly what I want. On my Christmas tree. Because I know some trees, they literally look like they're out of a magazine, but not ours. Ours is just nice and done. We have a couple decorations out there and it should really bring you joy. If not, why the hell are you doing it? CJ writes in, tree corpse season has always baffled me. I'm going to kill a beautiful thing and pose its corpse in my living room to generate feelings of togetherness and kindness. I dig house lights, though. I get that. The other joke that my husband was sharing over the weekend was, if you have a dog and they can't bring a stick in the house and then you bring the whole damn tree in, what's the dog thinking? When we brought our tree in, my dog just keeps looking at it. I'm like, don't touch it. And he's been really good. He honestly, this dog has been really, really good with the tree and hasn't messed with it too much. So that's good. Okay, so we're coming up on bottom of the hour news, but coming up on this show, I want to let you know we did have some big hellos and some very sad goodbyes happening on social media. And one of them, I literally, when I saw it in my news feed, I screamed out, no. It was so sad. More fallout from what we talked about last week, which was I don't know if you can call it an affair if they were divorced, but those Good Morning America 3 hosts, TJ Holmes and Amy Robach, well, there's been an update. And I want you to tell me if Good Morning America is making the right news here. Also, in the next half hour, we'll touch a little bit on Governor Newsom wanting to go after price gouging oil companies. Now, we used to, I believe in the 80s, maybe a little after that, we used to have kind of a windfall tax on oil companies that went away. And I think that was at the national level. Now, is there a difference between a windfall tax and a price gouging tax? We don't know, but Newsom's going after it. And then I'm going to share a story about price gouging here at home. And I'll show you the receipt that I did not pay because I refused to go. And you tell me if this seems reasonable. IRS may be sending some of you some more money, so I will tell you who qualifies for that. Former President Trump, he's trying to walk out some insane comments he made about the Constitution. But when you have the receipts and you post it on social media, moron, what do you think's going to happen? In the next hour, I was able to get a reporter from military.com to talk about that convicted oath keeper, Stuart Rhodes, the guy with the eye patch, and how he preyed on veterans. And I think this is a story, if you're in the military or somebody that's in the military or you're former military, you need to keep in mind, because active service, when you leave, there is a hole in your life that you have to fill. And Stuart Rhodes exploited that for some veterans, and that led to the things that we saw on January 6th. There's some new AI apps out there that make your pictures look hella cool, but you're giving up a lot because of it. And then, of course, we'll get into the gas app, and parents need to pay attention. If your kid has this app on their phone, it has nothing to do with their car and everything to do with their mental health. So I'll talk about the gas app. We'll get into that crazy raccoon attack. I'll show you the video of that because that's crazy. And then Taylor Swift tickets are getting the Willy Wonka treatment. This is straight genius, what this company is doing. And so I'll tell you about that in the next hour, all coming up on the Nikki Medoro Show, live on YouTube. Now, here's some news.
Now, from around the world to up your street, the Nikki Medoro Show presents News Czar Kim McAllister.
And this report is sponsored by tax attorney Steve Moskowitz at 888 Tax Deal. Former President Trump is clarifying that he doesn't want to terminate the Constitution. Trump responding to backlash after he said over the weekend the Constitution's rules and laws should be suspended over the 2020 election. In posts on Truth Social, Trump said he meant steps must immediately be taken to right the wrong, referring to his claims of widespread fraud during the election. That never happened. The CDC is warning of a shortage of kids' drugs as respiratory illnesses surge across the country. The spike comes as flu season worsens and hospitals are struggling to deal with millions of RSV cases. According to CNN, the surge has affected supplies of liquid acetaminophen and ibuprofen, commonly given to children. Two students who survived the murder of 4 University of Idaho students are out with their first statement since the attack. Dylan Mortensen wrote, "I know somewhere Zana and Ethan are together, keeping each other company, watching us, telling it's okay and that we have each other." Bethany Funk says she wishes she could give her roommates one last hug. A lawsuit being filed by Taylor Swift fans against Live Nation over the mishandling of the pop star's ticket sales for her upcoming tour. More than a dozen Swifties filed a complaint in Los Angeles court against the ticket company. They cite a breach of contract, intentional misrepresentation, fraud, and antitrust and unfair competition. The new year, of course, just around the corner, and several new laws will be taking effect here in California. You will not get a ticket for walking across the street outside of a crosswalk anymore, because starting January 1st, police will not be able to cite you for jaywalking. A decades-old loitering law aimed at curbing prostitution will be repealed, and a number of people with certain criminal convictions will be able to have their records electronically sealed. The state will also officially recognize Lunar New Year as a holiday, an occasion observed by most Asian cultures. Several more laws take effect later in the new year. It's a pretty dangerous sideshow in the Bay Area. This one caught on camera along the Embarcadero in San Francisco. The video shows drivers doing donuts, kicking up smoke right near the ferry building as a big crowd watched. Witnesses say this went on for about 15 minutes, late Friday night, and by the time police arrived, all the drivers were gone. The Tenderloin Center in San Francisco officially closed. It opened in January as a way to help battle the drug overdose crisis. They shut the doors yesterday. The center gave some people a safe place to use drugs and access the clean supplies. The mayor's office says that center reversed 300 overdoses and put more than 200 people into housing. She plans to now open wellness centers offering similar services. Red Hot Chili Peppers announcing a handful of North American tour date with some very special guests. The iconic rock outfit expanding their global stadium tour with 10 more shows, and they now include stops in Vegas, Minneapolis, San Diego, and Houston. They're also getting support from the Strokes, Iggy Pop, The Roots, St. Vincent, Thundercat, King Princess, and the Mars Volta. And if you see a purple laser beam shooting up into the sky on your way to downtown Sacramento, it means the Sacramento Kings won. They have this new trend fans are embracing this season. Whenever the Kings win, a cluster of 4 high-powered lasers shoot up from the Golden One Center. If a victory is in hand, you'll hear the Golden One crowd chant, "Light the beam! Light the beam!"
I wonder. Well, I mean, if there's planes up above or something, that seems really dangerous. Are they going to confer with,
the
flight
Sacramento
paths?
airport. Well, maybe it's like
I
down
don't
low enough
know.
where it doesn't shine into the pilot's eyes.
I
But
think it's
they're now
dangerous.
they're now calling the Kings the Beam Team.
Oh,
That's their new
goodness
thing because of the light
gracious.
the beam thing.
Whatever. Okay.
Anyway, the Kings doing well. 49ers also doing well, although Jimmy
I
Garoppolo fell
know.
with a little footy injury.
Not little. It's big. It's a
Should we
season-ending injury, Kim McAllister. It's huge.
should we kiss it and make it better?
Oh, it's really sad. Although, it's just part of the story of this season that's just been
Yeah.
insane. So while it's sad to lose Jimmy, and then now there's a huge question mark on what's going to happen next year. Because he has an injury now and he was the backup, and there's Trey Lance. And how's Purdy going to do? Can you imagine if Jimmy Garoppolo drops down to third string after Purdy
No,
and Lance? I mean,
no.
I don't think he'd do that. If he has a good season, I think hopefully somebody would pick him up.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
what a bummer. But
Yeah.
exciting that they won nonetheless, and
Yes,
looks like
indeed.
Purdy might be all kind of Purdy,
Those
right?
is. Yep.
This report, sponsored by tax attorney Steve Moskowitz. For more than 30 years, Steve has put his tax knowledge to work for individuals and for businesses. So if you need help with your taxes, you can call Steve at 888-TAX-STEAL or reach him on the web at moskowitzllp.com. I'm Kim McAllister on The Nikki Medoro Show.
Thank you, Kim. All right. Again, as we're thinking about it, please click that thumbs up button to help us out. It does something for YouTube. I don't know, the AI. So just click it once every show, and that really, really helps us out. The super chat is up and running. If you want to donate a couple bucks to throw our way, I believe we got started out by Jim Slayton with a $4.99 donation to the super chat. Go Niners. Yes,
Thanks,
indeed,
Jim.
Jim. Thank you. And of course, if you want to really help the show, just go to our website, thenikkimedoroshow.com, and become a monthly Patreon subscriber. It helps keep the money flowing in consistently, which is what we need to keep this crazy machine going. So thank you, everybody that has donated. Okay, so there were some big hellos and a really sad goodbye on TikTok. So let's start with the good news, shall we? Guess who has just joined TikTok? Guess, Kim McAllister.
I'm going to say President Biden.
Oh, no.
I
Someone
don't know.
fun. Dolly Parton.
Oh, Dolly.
Dolly Parton has joined TikTok. She says, now that I'm here, tag me. She just joined the platform. Already put up a few videos. Her post featured a montage of videos, which is what I'm not playing, of course, through her years set to 9 to 5. She also had Better Late Than Never, another Now Let's Have Some Fun. Now this obviously is definitely what Dolly Parton fans have wanted to see, because Dolly is just, I mean, she's always been popular. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
I'm not saying she's never not been, but it seems to have this intensity as of late, and I'm here for it. I absolutely adore Dolly Parton.
That
She's amazing.
picture is kind of S&M looking with that tight black leather going on.
Oh,
Or
you know
pleather.
her. You
Yeah.
know. I think this was at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, perhaps.
She's all glitz and glam, but she
I
looks good in
know.
that. I mean, what is she, in her 70s? 60s,
How
70s?
old is Dolly Parton? I don't
God,
know how old she
look
is.
how good she looks.
Yeah. How old is Dolly Parton? Let's everybody guess. I'm going to say she's in her 70s. Anybody else? Don't Google it. I'm going to Google it. Dolly Parton age.
I'm going to say 75.
She's 76.
Wow, yeah.
She is
It's-
76 years old. Wow,
Look
she
at
looks
her.
good. I mean, she's
Yeah.
had plastic surgery, obviously, but
Yeah.
she doesn't care. I mean, and there's nothing wrong with getting plastic surgery. Absolutely nothing wrong with it. If you want to do it and you want to take the risk to do something to your body or your face, absolutely. Please be happy. I'm not
Well,
here
you
to
see
judge.
some people have the plastic surgery where they start looking kind of odd and their cheeks
Yeah.
are really puffy and their face looks misshapen, and it's like, okay, you probably
Well,
would have been better like aging naturally, but if she's having plastic surgery, she still looks like Dolly. So that's good.
yes. Well, that was the whole thing. I mean, the breast augmentation was what she was known for, right? I
Mhm.
mean, for her big breasts, which is fine. Again, if that's what you want, and
You think
she's
she had them done? Like, she had them augmented? I thought they were natural.
you're kidding, right?
No. No,
Am I wrong here?
Some
No.
ladies just have big boobs. I think
No.
she had big boobs.
No.
Speaking of boobs, I've been watching Game of Thrones. I'm telling you, I have never seen more boobs in my life, and that includes looking in the mirror.
Ah!
Boob city. There's boobs everywhere.
Yes.
Every
Game
5
of Thrones
seconds,
is
somebody else is
very
showing me their boobs. I'm like, why do I need to see
risque.
all your boobs? I don't need to see it.
No, and Dolly Parton has had breast implants. Breast
She
implants.
has. Okay.
Yes. Okay. Hold on. The many myths of Dolly Parton's boobs. All right. Let's see. This is one
Is there
article
a
that I have
website
found.
dedicated to it?
That's all I know. But yeah, she has 40 double D's.
Oh, that just sounds uncomfortable. Like on your back and
Yeah, exactly. So apparently in 2017, it was reported that Parton said she was in agony over her fake boobs that were becoming far too heavy for her small frame. In 92, the tabloid stated she nearly died from leaks in her silicone implants, but she refuted those claims. She also maintained she didn't even have implants, but then she came clean in People in 2020. It shows up about every 3 years in the tabloids where I'm bedridden because my boobs are so heavy that I'm crippled for life. She says it's an often repeated breast rumor, but she does pay $1 million insurance on her breasts, which I would do as well. But yeah, she says that she has had breast implants
Okay.
and they're insured, and that's okay. I mean, I feel like I remember I was talking to one guy that I worked with. And he was like, maybe he was probably, I'd say 6 years younger than me. Okay. So not a lot, but definitely different generation of it. Maybe,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, just a little bit. Maybe 8 or 9 years. Okay. Just a little bit of a different generation. And he blew my mind because he says every girl I date has breast implants. He's like,
Really?
it's like tattoos. He's like, it's harder to find someone with all natural breasts
Oh.
than with breasts, like that most chicks have them. And I have, I don't, but if you want them, that's
I
fine.
don't either. And most of my friends don't, so that's interesting.
But exactly, different generation, right? I mean,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
know women my age that have them, but I feel like it's a lot more common for women that are just a little bit younger than us, and then of course younger, to get them. And I don't know what it is. I mean, for me personally, not to get too I on one hand, I liked having bigger boobs, and the only time I ever had bigger boobs was when I was breastfeeding. It was kind of nice, except they leaked, which sucked. But I like having smaller breasts because they don't get in the way. I can wear whatever
Right.
I want. I don't have to
Okay.
wear a bra, for instance, or anything like that.
Right.
So
Yeah.
that makes it nice. But let's see. Oh, somebody else was talking about Dolly Parton's plastic surgery. Dolly has admitted to numerous cosmetic procedures, including breast implants, a brow lift, a facelift, eyelid surgery, chin augmentation, and rhinoplasty, a nose job. Yeah. I mean, I don't think anybody looks at Dolly Parton and thinks that she
No.
hasn't had work done. I mean, well, let me show that picture. And not saying she looks bad. She looks great.
Yeah.
But please, she's 76.
Right.
She's had work done. I mean, you can take care of yourself and eat healthy and everything like that. But come on, Dolly. We all know. And I don't think she's trying to keep it a secret. Okay, now time, brace yourself for the sad news. I literally, Kim, when I saw this, I was like, no. And I know that these things happen. Okay, I understand it. But do you know who died?
No.
Noodle
Oh,
died. Do you know who Noodle is?
no. It's cute
So
though.
Noodle the pug had gone viral in recent years. He was 14 years old. He was the pug that did the bones or no bones kind of day. So what his owner would do, and here's his owner, he put Noodle in that bed. And then if Noodle, it's like he had no bones. So he would just like flop over. And that was a no bones day. And that meant you didn't have to do anything if you didn't want to. You could just lay in bed all day. And if he stood up, that was a bones day and you should go for it because Noodle stood up and had bones in his body. And it was this big joke. He was a really cute dog, but 14 years old is 14
Yeah.
years old. And so, yeah, he passed away over the weekend and it was so sad. He's the cutest little pug
And
ever.
actually for that breed, that's probably a long life.
Oh, yeah. And I mean, his owner, I think he wrote a book. He had all this. I mean, the dog made money in his final years, but he had him, I think, for 7 years, he said. So he obviously adopted a senior dog, which is awesome. And yeah, the Noodle the pug, bones or no bones. I had posted it and I was like, I'm not doing anything today. It's a no bones day. DG2, one of our mutual high school friends, Kim, calls Game of Thrones titties and dragons. Ooh,
That's
I might have
true.
to call it that from now on. Oh, you mean the titties and dragons show?
Yeah, it's
Titties
true. I mean, isn't it? I mean, I'm
Oh,
enjoying it, although it's getting kind of bloody. Like
oh,
heads chopped off and throats slit, and I kind of, there's a
have you
torture
gotten,
scene. I have
have
to
you,
kind of
where,
look away
how far
sometimes.
are you? Because I want to ask if you're at a certain point, but I don't want to blow it for you.
Season 3 early on.
Oh, okay. Okay, yeah, then you're
You
past like the
remember, I only have 2 months worth of HBO Max. We bought it for 2 months and that's it. So I have to binge it,
but I
get it
gotta
all
Google.
in there. Yeah.
Okay, hold on. What season was
But
that
I
in?
but you know who was introduced to me a couple episodes
Uh-huh.
ago? It was that tall woman that you were talking about.
Oh, Brienne
Brienne of
of
Tarth.
Tarth.
Mhm.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think I'm not gonna ask you anything. This is a great season that you're on though, season 3. It's just such a good show. Some people don't like how it ends, but all good things come to an end. I will say
Yeah.
this about Game of Thrones, and not just watch it all the way to the end. You'll love it. It's totally worth it. I feel like they rushed the last season. Like for as long as things took in the beginning, the
Sure.
last season it's like all of a sudden everything's just happening all over the place. But if you like this, then you're gonna love the other one that I'm watching, and I'm totally brain farting on the name of it right now. Tell me in the chat the other
Dragon,
game.
something dragon?
Yeah, the dragons one. Yeah, you'll
Did
like that.
Okay.
That's like a prequel, like, centuries before Game of Thrones. It's really good too. And yeah, there's titties and dragons in that too. So you'll have it all just for you.
I have a new respect for, Peter Dinklage too. I
Oh, I
he is so good
love
in this.
him. He is
Yeah,
my favorite. He's
yeah,
hands down my favorite character in House of Dragons. Thank you,
yeah.
Luce. Hands down, Peter Dinklage is my favorite. I actually have a tank top that says "I drink and I know things," which is like one of the sayings in it, which is so true. But yeah, he's awesome in it, and he finally gets his due because he has been in so many movies. Peter Dinklage has, and now
Yeah.
afterwards he has. But he's such a great actor, and he's been around for so long. But I definitely think his role in Game of Thrones just put him on the map.
Yep.
And yeah, you'll enjoy it. It's definitely not for kids, obviously,
Oh,
but
yeah.
it is hands down one of the best
Boob
shows on
City.
TV.
Mm.
Speaking of TV, let's update the drama happening on Good Morning America. So they've benched Amy Robach and TJ Holmes. You'll remember I told you last week, this is this
Yes.
couple that were together. They were married. Here they are. They were
Married
each married,
they were married to different people.
different people. Apparently, they were having marital woes, bonded over the New York City half marathon as they were training together, and started, a relationship. And so, Good Morning America ABC, which is on ABC, says they need to weigh the effect the romantic relationship might have on the program.
Mm.
Apparently, the president, ABC News president Kim Godwin, told ABC News employees during an editorial call today that Robach and Holmes had not violated any company policy, but indicated ABC News felt the matter had become an internal and external disruption and wanted to do what's best for the organization. Now, that statement makes me think ABC could be putting them in themselves quite a pickle. So, if they haven't done anything wrong, is it in their contract that they can't be disruptive? Right?
I bet they have a morality clause.
But it's not they didn't violate any morality clause because they say they didn't do anything wrong. So if you're not doing anything
Well,
morally wrong,
if they were
right?
still married, but they were doing the do, then maybe
Well,
that's
whose
not
morals are we talking about here? I mean,
that's
there's
right.
some morals where you're
ABC's
like,
morals, that's who.
I mean, they are, the family network, I guess. But yeah, but apparently last week when Holmes and Robach went to work, they said they felt no shame about their relationship. Sources close to the couple described their first day back at work as wonderful and told us they felt supported and loved by their ABC colleagues who apparently said a prayer with them. One source told Page Six they're not ashamed. They're two consenting adults who ended up loving each other. They have
Oh.
not seen each other since last Tuesday, so it's not how they wanted their relationship to come out, but they say it's also kind of a relief. Another source familiar with the couple told us they've been good friends for 8 years and again claimed the romance began in August as they both dealt with marital woes. Because isn't it always the way? It's like, oh my God, I'm having spouse problems. Oh my God, I'm having spouse problems. Let's just bone. I mean,
I mean,
like,
I guess the question is, were they separated from their people before they started hooking up? And was it
well, it
the
was very
affair
quick if
that
they
kind of pushed
were.
those marriages apart? And it is awkward, to have that happen and then have them both standing there together and be like, "We're all okay with that." Like, I don't know. I can see why ABC's like, we're uncomfortable."
Mm. I feel like although I understand that the workplace is a common place for people to meet people, date, fall in love, it gets messy. It gets messy. Are they claiming? Are Robach and Holmes claiming it's going to go all the way? That they're going to get married? Because if it doesn't, now they have a real problem on their hands. Because now we have two of our main anchors on our program going through a breakup. Are you going to promise me that it's not going to get bad? Are you going to promise the other person isn't going to cheat on the other person? If they did kind of have an overlap, there's obviously a history of cheating there then. Lou says we can't judge unless we know the full story. We don't know what's going on in their married lives. Love can happen anywhere. I agree. I'm just talking about work. That's what I'm talking about. I mean, yeah, they could do whatever they want, and it happens all of the time. I mean, people have affairs. People get cheated on. People break up. Is it sad? Yes. You have to question the timing. Also, if you just got out of a marriage, do you really think jumping into another relationship is the smartest thing to do? I don't know.
I don't know if I agree with Nick. Shouldn't judge regardless, because yes, you're right. On one hand, we're not in their shoes. We don't know. But on the other hand, you're in you're in a very public position.
True.
You put yourself there. No one else did. And so you have to know that everything you do is going to be scrutinized, and everything you do is going to be looked at by the network for which you work and the viewers. So shouldn't judge. I don't know, Nick. I think they themselves put themselves in the bright.
Well, yeah,
spotlight
you're
of
in the
being
public
judged.
eye.
Yeah.
Well, and then Duster writes in, it's been reported that TJ's cheated on his wife before. Now, if that's true, then Amy better be careful, because he has a track record. And it always blows my mind when you're the other person, right? The one that they're cheating on with. Okay.
Sure.
And then all of a sudden they cheat on you and you're like, how could this happen? They told you.
Right.
They told you what kind of person they are. So don't be surprised when they cheat on your ass.
That's
right?
Yeah.
David writes, I worked with a couple in a similar situation. After a while, it became unbearable for their coworkers. Was it unbearable, David, because they were lovey-dovey or because they were bickering? What was unbearable? Because I guess if you're in love and it's all butterflies and unicorns, all right, that's fine. Eric says dating coworkers is generally frowned upon for a reason. It can get messy. I've never dated a coworker.
No,
I've never dated. I mean, outside of high school, well, not even high school, because I went to an all-girls school. I've never dated anybody that I was like in college with, in a class with, in worked with ever. It's not a pool that I dive into or play around with that much. But yeah, we'll see what happens on GMA. I don't think that they should lose their jobs over it, though. I don't think that should happen. Lou says maybe commitment is what they both struggle with. Maybe. I mean, although Amy Robach was with Andrew Shue, who was on the original Melrose Place for quite a while. Now, when you are attracted to somebody else, can that sometimes lead you to abandon a relationship because that's on the rocks? If you see, an alternative, that could happen. And again, I don't know. Luce or somebody else wrote in, we don't know what's going on in their marriage, and we don't. I'm a firm believer, though, I'm a very loyal, monogamous person. I believe if you get married, that's a commitment. Unless there's like abuse or something terrible happening, work it out, right?
Try to fix it.
You should try to fix it.
It might not be fixable, but if you find someone new in the workplace to move on with, I think you're less motivated to fix, right?
Yes,
you're
exactly.
Less motivated to work on things and more like, here's an easy out. I'm going.
Well, and you see them every day. It's not as if you even have to try. That's the hard thing about working with dating people you work with is, one, if you don't want to see them, you still have to see them because they're at work. But if you become attracted to that person and you're having problems at home, all of a sudden you just want to work because you get to go in and see this person every day and they get to flirt with you and all those sorts of things. So yeah, it's can get messy. And that's what David wrote in. Too much workplace drama every day became about their relationship. But yeah, I mean, I feel, and I'm not going to get on my, religious bandwagon, but I feel like if you take a vow to people, people throw out that for better or worse, and they never really think about the worst part, right? Like, what does that mean? What does worse mean? It means, you're bothering the crap out of me, or maybe I'm not that attracted to you anymore, but you find a way to work it out because that's what worse is. And I don't know. I really believe in the sanctity of marriage, to use those words. And unless there's abuse or something really terrible happening in the marriage that you need to get the hell out of, and I support that as well, I think that you should work it out, especially when there's kids involved, because you are literally changing the trajectory of their lives by this one decision. And it could be a great thing or it could be a terrible thing, but it does change their life story, is that their parents are no longer together. All right, I'm going to get off my soapbox about that, but I'm just saying, work, colleagues, dating, it can get messy. Okay, we have a couple minutes to talk about this. So speaking of marriage, by the way, there is a new case before the U.S. Supreme Court. And it's of course, because people want to discriminate against people who are in same-sex marriages. A Colorado graphic designer says she has a First Amendment right to refuse to create websites for same-sex weddings, despite a state anti-discrimination law.
It's very similar to the whole wedding cake thing, right?
Exactly. It's very, very similar. But so remember the wedding cake thing, that was the Colorado baker. That's what it was. And they said a state law forbidding discrimination based on sexual orientation is against his religious freedom. But the majority opinion that was given in 2018 did not settle the question of whether the First Amendment permits discrimination by businesses open to the public based on their owners' religious convictions. The opinion acknowledged that the court had kicked the can down the road and would have to decide some future controversy involving facts similar to these. And that's what this graphic designer case apparently is going to be. Now, on one side are people who say the government should not force them to violate their principles to make a living. On the other are same-sex couples and others who say they're entitled to equal treatment from businesses who are open to the public. Here's my question. Unless you are somebody walks into your business, okay? And unless you hand them a sheet and say, I want you to tell me whether or not you have violated any of the tenets of my religion before I decide to do the business with you, unless that's it, I think that they're just being completely hypocritical and hateful to same-sex couples. Because let me ask you, did this graphic designer, going back to what we were just talking about, ask every single one of her clients whether or not they'd ever been divorced? Because in some religions, and I would assume this one, that's a sin. So how far down that road do you go? Or is it simply because of its same-sex marriage, which is complete BS, in my opinion? Make the damn graphic designer website and be on with it. And then one other point that I'm going to make, I think that what I will call hateful people like this do this not because they really mean it, because again, they're not questioning everybody about every single aspect of their lives to make sure that they're not violating their religion in any way, only this case. But two, look at all the free publicity this woman's business is now getting from people who feel the exact same way as she does. And I think that they're just using it as a way to promote themselves.
Don't you feel like if you're the person who goes to this web designer to have the wedding website done, and they don't want to work with you, then I don't want to work with them. Like, I guess I don't understand why all the lawsuits, right? Why can't it just be a case of there? It's not like that's the only
because
web
it's a
designer in
slippery
the world.
slope. I mean, when do you stop? All of a sudden, then you're going to legalize discrimination. So I can't go anywhere.
Tell everyone I know that this person is homophobic and discriminatory, and I would take my business elsewhere. Like, I don't want to force anyone to work with me that doesn't want to work with me, ever. As a matter of
No.
fact, if you don't want to work with me, I extra don't want to work with you. I'm out. And
Well, yeah,
so,
but what about everybody else? I mean, then that's going to just grow. If you're, it's basically allowing people to discriminate against you, and that's not right. I
hey, if
mean,
you want to be a jerk, be a jerk. Your business is going to suffer for it, and the person who's nice and accepts people and is someone who wants to work with everyone, that's the business that's going to thrive. So go ahead, shoot yourself in the foot. Don't take my business. That's how I'd feel about it.
yeah, I mean, I disagree. I think that you have to fight these fights. You have to make it abundantly clear that these bigots can't do what they're doing. You can't discriminate against people by picking and choosing what you don't like about their life. Right. Because again, and this is the point that I always think of, it's not as if they're questioning, heterosexual couples on whether or not there's anything in their life that they do that might be against their religion. It's only this one thing. It's only this one thing. And that's not right. And you have to speak out about it. You absolutely have to speak out about it. Now,
I think you have to speak out about it, but not necessarily, go to the Supreme Court. Randy writes, at some point, what if the business only wants to work with white, married, straight people? Then I say that's that person's prerogative. And again, what a dumbass they are, limiting their business in such a way. But if that's who you want to be in this life, you should have the freedom to be a jerk.
there's laws against these sorts of things. And I think that that's what they want the Supreme Court to decide, is whether or not these businesses are violating laws that protect marginalized groups from this form of discrimination. I mean, do you not believe there should be any laws against discrimination then? Because
Well,
well,
it
then
depends.
I don't want to go to that school, or I don't want to go into that building, or I don't want to go into all of these now places that people who have these hateful beliefs may
Well, I guess
run.
I guess it really depends. I mean, is it a public school? Is it a government office? Is it something like that? Or is it a private company or a private school? You already have seen, private schools kick teachers out for doing their OnlyFans or whatever because it doesn't fit with their religion.
Okay.
And so, if you're a private institution or private business, then we in this country have the freedom to be who we wanna be, even if that means you're a discriminating a-hole, right?
I feel like there needs to be some sort of punishment. There needs to be some sort of statement as a country of what we will allow. And the reason why we have laws against discrimination is because of our history. Nick writes in, Kim is assuming the market will correct their bigotry. You haven't been paying attention. Since Trump made the scene, the bigots are
Yeah,
emboldened.
you're
There's a
right.
thriving market for hate. So if you don't nip this in the bud, and who knows if this conservative court is going to do it, like somebody else had mentioned, um, if you don't do it, then it's just going to grow. I mean, we can see how a small seed can grow into something like this. And so no, I definitely disagree. I think that we need to do
And
something about this.
if I'm gay, I don't wanna give my money to the bigot. If I'm, someone of color, I don't wanna give my
Of
money to
course
the
you
racist.
don't.
And so I want them to come out and say, "I don't wanna work with you because you're gay, because you're
But what if
black,
you
because
work
you're
what if you
whatever."
live in a town, Kim, where there's only a handful of businesses? You're asked out, you can't get any sort of business because, well, I'm a private business, sorry, move somewhere else. I mean, this is how it can go.
Right,
We live in
right.
the Bay Area where it's like, oh, you don't go to this place, go to this place. But if it's a
Sure.
small town and all of a sudden Sally's saying no to you and Jim's saying no to you and all these businesses are saying no to you because they're a private business and you can just take your business somewhere else, what if that just ends up being your town because the whole town now is emboldened to behave that way? So
I guess
it's
I want it noted that I don't condone discrimination or feel like it's right at all in any way, shape, or form. And I will do whatever I can to support people that feel marginalized. But I think if someone wants to be a jerk in this life, then
well, they can be.
they should
Yes.
be. They should that's part of America. People are free to be who they want to be, even if that's ugly.
Yeah, I mean, they are, and these people are, but businesses and protections like that are completely different. All right, we need to take a quick break for some news. And then coming up, I'm going to be joined by a reporter for military.com, Drew Lawrence. And he is going to discuss that convicted oath keeper, Stuart Rhodes, he's the guy with the eye patch. And how, through conversations that Drew and his colleague had with veterans, how people like Stuart Rhodes pray on veterans who are trying to fill a hole in their lives. So that's coming up. Again, click that thumbs up button. It really helps the show. And my conversation with Drew F. Lawrence from military.com is next, right after news.
Now, from around the world to up your street, the Nikki Medoro Show presents News Czar Kim McAllister.
And this report is sponsored by tax attorney Steve Moskowitz at 888 Tax Deal. The jury in the Trump Organization's tax fraud trial in New York is expected to start deliberations today. Prosecutors are accusing the former president's company of avoiding taxes by paying personal expenses for top executives and giving them compensation without reporting it. The prosecution side's star witness, former Trump Organization Chief Financial Officer Alan Weisselberg, pleaded guilty to tax fraud, and testified during the trial. California's governor taking aim at high gas prices in the state. Governor Gavin Newsom will look at other ways of bringing relief during a special legislative session today. He also wants to hold the oil industry accountable, saying drivers are being ripped off. The suspect in a mass shooting at a Colorado Springs club is set to make his first in-person court appearance tomorrow. The suspect currently facing 10 charges, including 5 counts of first-degree murder. Prosecutors are expected to file formal charges before the hearing. The shortlist for Time's Person of the Year is out. Elon Musk won the title last year, and he's being nominated again this year after buying Twitter. Other individual nominees include Chinese President Xi Jinping, Wyoming Congresswoman Liz Cheney, and Ukrainian President Zelensky. City of Santa Cruz is ready to fix West Cliff Drive after part of it fell into the ocean. It's the third area to collapse, and the city says there's nothing to prevent that from happening again. But there is a temporary plan to adjust the traffic lanes and add safety ramps this week. Engineers will first secure the rocks before rebuilding the path. They hope to have the designs for a permanent fix in by next month. And the city of Santa Rosa will consider giving itself an 85%, the city council, I should say, will consider giving itself an 85% raise at tomorrow's meeting. It would mark the first raise approved for Santa Rosa's elected officials in 17 years. Council members would receive a whopping $17,760 annually, with the mayor's pay increasing to $26,640. A previously proposed ballot measure would have given council members a 6-fold raise connected with the area's median income, but that didn't get the endorsement of the majority of the council members before voters could decide. Some council members wanted there to be a smaller gradual raise. Others wanted to be paid the same as the mayor. Money for everybody. And Oxford Dictionaries is announcing its word of the year for 2022. Any guesses as to what it is, Nikki?
Word of the year.
And it's more of a compound word.
A compound word. No idea. What is it?
It's goblin mode.
What? Goblin mode?
Goblin mode was chosen by the public from 3 different options voted on over 2 weeks. It defines the term as a type of behavior which is unapologetically self-indulgent, lazy, slovenly, or greedy, typically in a way that rejects social norms or expectations. Oxford said its word of the year is a reflection of the mood of the past year, also something that has lasting cultural significance. Goblin mode.
I've never heard anybody say that word at all in the past year, ever.
Goblin mode first appeared on Twitter in 2009, though the term went viral earlier this year. I guess one could say, use it in a sentence. President Trump went goblin mode in that last election. I don't know.
I have no idea. I have to formulate how I would use it in a sentence because I have never heard it in a sentence until now.
Hey, you went all goblin mode on that pumpkin pie. You're unapologetically self-indulgent, lazy, slovenly, or greedy.
Okay, that's weird.
Yeah.
That's weird. All right.
Goblin mode. This report sponsored by tax attorney Steve Moskowitz for more than 30 years. Steve has put his tax knowledge to work for individuals and businesses alike. If you need help with your old taxes, give Steve a call, 888-TAX-DEAL. He's online, moskowitzllp.com. I'm Kim McAllister on The Nikki Medoro Show.
right. Thanks for joining us on this second hour of the Nikki Medoro Show live on YouTube. I appreciate all of you always being here. And I want to have a conversation. I was reading this article on military.com. It's a great website. And it was looking at kind of this news story that was breaking regarding that oath keeper, Stuart Rhodes. Let me show you a picture in case you don't know who I'm talking about. It's this guy. This guy right here. That guy. He has an eye patch. He was just convicted for kind of his role in January 6th. And there's been a ton of stories about Stuart Rhodes and the Oath Keeper and what led to January 6th. But I think what I really appreciated in this article was looking at how people like Stuart Rhodes used the vulnerability, for lack of a better word, of our veterans to convince them to kind of follow him and what he was doing. So joining me now is reporter and producer for military.com, Drew F. Lawrence. Drew, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Hey, Nikki, thanks for having me. How are you?
I'm very well. Now, first off, I'm married into a military family. I know a lot of people who are in the military, either active or are no longer in the military. But people like Stuart Rhodes, in your article on military.com, you say that he preyed on veterans who were looking for meaning after service. So, I guess to start us off, what do we know about the man, Stuart Rhodes? Who is he?
Sure. So, in a nutshell, Stuart Rhodes is the militia head for the Oath Keepers, which is a militia that was founded in 2009. And since then, and what we saw in the trial, there was a very clear through line since its founding in 2009 to really up to last Tuesday that showed Stuart Rhodes, who served very briefly in the military in the 80s for about 2.5 years, a little bit over, manipulating essentially a handful of dutiful veterans who were followers. They were primed, they were lured into committing violent acts into what they believed was in the name of patriotism. And that was something that, was very clear in evidence in the trial. It was something clear from those who we spoke to who were once very close to Rhodes. And it was just very clear in the history of the organization.
So explain how he did that.
Sure. So just to take a step back for a little bit, last year in January, the Department of Justice went after 11 of these Oath Keepers and slapped them with seditious conspiracy charges. Out of that 11, 6 were veterans. And as these trials and these deliberations continued up to last Tuesday, there were really clear pockets in this trial and in the testimonies of the veterans who were on trial that kind of showed that Rhodes was this figurehead who used their veteran service as a way to forward his goals, his anti-government goals, and really led them to the Capitol on January 6th. And a good example of that is, of the 5 people that were on trial for seditious conspiracy and a whole smattering of other federal crimes that really resulted in 16 federal charges for these folks. 4 of them were veterans. Rhodes himself, Kenneth Harrelson, who served 4 years as a vehicle maintainer in the Army, Jessica Watkins, who served in the Army from 2001 to 2003, and she eventually went AWOL, and then Thomas Caldwell, who was in the Navy as an intelligence officer for over 20 years. And throughout this, you really saw Rhodes using their veteran status, almost at every turn, talking about 5-paragraph operations orders, which is a term that the military uses, or wanting to put these veterans in charge and making them seem more special than their civilian counterparts in the group. And with a lot of these veterans, you see some personal issues, a need for belonging that those, including Rhodes' estranged wife, Tasha Adams, talked about, where he kind of saw that there was a need for veterans to want to continue to serve their country out of, while they were out of uniform, and really warped the oath of office and allegiance to the Constitution for his own benefit, and then brought them into the fold and gave them a purpose. The problem is that purpose led many of them to January 6th, to the Capitol on January 6th, and into some really hot legal trouble.
So, as they find themselves in this legal trouble, are they talking about how, they were preyed upon by Rhodes? I'm assuming that they all feel their own personal way about it, but are we seeing any sort of acceptance of the manipulation, or is the manipulation still happening?
So it's really interesting because there was a lot of dynamics that were happening throughout the trial. With the jury, which again who resulted in 16 felony convictions, all ranging from seditious conspiracy to Rhodes and Kelly Meggs, who's a civilian counterpart, to federal obstruction of an official proceeding. It really showed. It really didn't give any of them any leeway. There was a lot of responsibility that was pushed through all of them. For example, Thomas Caldwell seemed really primed and ready after he had met Rhodes to kind of prepare for this, what they were talking about as a Lexington moment or a Civil War moment against the federal government. So, there was a luring that was going on. There was, a lot of manipulation, but the fault wasn't, solely on Rhodes' shoulders. There were a lot of people who appeared to be willing participants in what they were trying to do.
If you're just joining us, I'm speaking with Drew F. Lawrence with military.com, and he and his colleague wrote this great article on military.com. Convicted Oathkeeper leader preyed on veterans looking for meaning after service. Let's talk about that meaning after service, Drew. Is this a huge problem? And why is it hard for some veterans to kind of fill that hole?
Sure. So, I mean, what we want to do, especially in this reporting, is get away from stereotypes or stigmas about veterans, right? We look at this population who committed, violent acts on January 6th, and we want to recognize that that's a very, very small population of veterans. But there is often a through line, especially, leaving the service, where you have a service where you're a lot of times with your best friends every day. You're doing a mission that has a lot of meaning. Of course, there's a lot of trauma that gets mixed into it, and you have all these feelings that are kind of ruminating as you come out and looking for a place to go. And I served for a very short period of time in the Army. I've experienced some of that coming out. And I think speaking to a lot of veterans, they also experience that. And what it creates is vulnerability in a lot of folks, and especially those who may be on the far range of that vulnerability, where they're especially susceptible to folks like Stuart Rhodes or others who want to take advantage of maybe a little bit of that disenfranchisement and bring them into the essentially what is a facade or of a group that is looking to support. And we actually talked to a former Oath Keeper. His name is Jason Van Tattenhove. He was the national media director for the Oath Keepers up until a few years ago. And he got out, he went and he testified to the January 6th committee. And he talked about, that really outside of kind of getting some folks together, going out into the woods, doing, quote unquote training or whatever, there wasn't really a lot of tangible or financial support that this group was giving veterans. And it leaves, it continues to leave a lot of, again, very small population, people in a vulnerable state. And then, we see in extreme cases like this where it can lead them to violent activities.
I know, Drew, that you don't want to obviously talk about the larger group of military veterans after they're done with service, but just your conversation with veterans, is there a system in place to kind of, no, obviously this was an extreme example, but give them some sort of, I don't want to use the word purpose because obviously every person has a purpose in this world. But when you come from a military type of environment, that has the schedule and the rigidity and all those sorts of things into, the civilian world, is there a way within the military to make that transition easier, or can we do it better? I guess is a better question.
Sure. And like you said, everyone wants purpose, right? That's a pretty universal experience. And, in the military, as you'd mentioned, it's kind of, people want purpose, but it's a lot of times it's very elevated. You have a population In terms of veterans, that's very, it's a premium kind of role in society. And but a lot of times, we see shortfalls, whether it be legislation for burn pits, legislation for Agent Orange from the Vietnam era, various things that come with shortfalls from institutions that are charged with taking care of prior service members. And so in terms of, a lot of our guests or people that we interviewed pointed to those institutions and saying, hey, there's some shortfalls. There's some things that we can do to help veterans in their socioeconomic status, or being able to provide better treatment for, ailments that are associated with service. And when institutions fall short of that, the options, become, for lack of a better term, a little unregulated, right?
Right.
There are these groups that where, if you're not getting the care that you need, you're not getting the attention or support that is essentially owed to you after service because of, you raised your right hand and you did what was asked. And that's kind of a contracted obligation that these institutions have with you. You're not getting that, that could lead you down a dark road.
Are you concerned, or are you hearing concern, I should ask, that this problem could get bigger? I mean, I would say it seems, just as a civilian who's never served in the military, why would people that served in the military, the president is the commander in chief, kind of go down this path? And can we screen for this? Is there a way of screening people beforehand, maybe even before they go into the military or law enforcement or something like that? Or is that another kind of blind spot that there could be, within training and recruitment?
So, it's a really interesting question that I think is kind of falling on the lap of law enforcement in a lot of ways. And like I said, and I wanted to emphasize this, when we talk about violent extremism with folks with military connections, it is an extremely, extremely small percentage of people. Over the last 30 years, talking to experts at University of Maryland's START program or George Washington program on extremism who look at these things over the last 30 years, there's only been less than 500 cases of violent extremism perpetrated by military veterans, right? Which, if you look at the grand scheme of violent extremism or terrorism, that's potentially a statistical zero. But the problem that we're looking at is the effects of that, right? We look at someone like Timothy McVeigh, who's a veteran. He was a white supremacist. He went on to kill 168 people in a truck bomb and during the Oklahoma City bombing, 30 years ago. And by all accounts, while he was in, outside of, some disciplinary problems, he washed out of special forces and again was white supremacist. He earned a Bronze Star. He, deployed, he saw action and made it to a non-commissioned officer. Right. And so in terms of identifying the problem and screening it, it's really hard challenge. Law enforcement is at this crossroads. It seems like from talking to experts where there's a history with law enforcement of, potentially being too aggressive with, extremist groups, like in the past with, we talked about Waco or Ruby Ridge, and that provided a real cooling effect for that. And now, but there's still this danger there. And I guess the question is, how do you measure or how do you balance that really small amount with the enormous danger that it proposes in the future? And it's a hard question that I don't have the answer to.
Yeah, I know, but it's definitely one that needs to be addressed, because while we also, I mean, I'm sure you hear it all the time, there's a shortage of police officers, for instance, in some of the major cities here in the Bay Area. It's also important to recruit the right people who are there for the right reasons. Drew F. Lawrence, I will link your article to my social media feeds. He is a reporter for military.com. Great conversation, Drew. You're always welcome back. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Nikki. Have a great day.
You too. Yeah. We have to keep it, we have to understand the problem so that we can hopefully find a solution. And I like how Drew kept stressing the fact that this is a small group of people that went extreme. But I think that when you hear that they're military or they're law enforcement or something like that, it puts the fear in you that, oh my God, well, if it's them, could there be more? And we do need to make sure that we understand who we're talking about and how large of a group we are talking about. But it does, kind of pull in the bigger question of how are we taking care of these men and women who have dedicated their lives to protecting this country when they are no longer in active service? And if we can give them a purpose and fill that hole ahead of time, people like Stuart Rhodes and others won't exploit that and hopefully lead to something terrible like we saw on January 6th. So again, Drew F. Lawrence with military.com. And I saw somewhere in the comments had posted that, Stuart Rhodes, the reason why he wears that eye patch, he shot his own eye out.
Yeah.
Cleaning his gun. Yeah. Shot his own eye out, cleaning his gun. I believe, I think I read this in Drew's article. I think he went to Yale and got disbarred or something like that. So the guy has a kind of a checkered, troubled past to begin with. But look what he was able to do just by exploiting these veterans, and we hope that we'll never see anything like that again. But we have to stay on top of it, and we have to be aware of the problem. So. Okay, so we're coming up on the bottom. I have a ton of stuff I wanted to get to. Maybe I'll move it over. I'm going to get to the Gas app. Kim, have you ever heard of the Gas app?
No, I do gasbuddy.com though.
I know. See, so when I say Gas app, that's obviously where your mind goes, is it has to do with gasoline. That's where it would go for me. It has nothing to do with gasoline.
What does it have to do with? Are you teasing me again, or are you?
I'm teasing you again. No, I'm going to tease you. I'm going to do it at the bottom. I'm going to do it after your news. But I'm going to tell you this: gassing somebody is slang. It's kind of like goblin mode. I've never heard it used in a sentence. I mean, I guess I've heard of gassing somebody up or whatever, but that's where it comes from. And this app is a new kind of social media platform that has gained in popularity over the past several months with teenagers and young adults. And it's supposed to be, do you remember, and I think I talked about it either at Station X or on this show, have you heard of that app, Be Real? I think I talked to you about it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So Be Real, this gas app reminds me of it. So if you don't know, Be Real is supposed to be like the anti-social media app. And all it is pictures, and everyone gets the alert at the exact same time. And you're supposed to just snap a picture of wherever you are, no filters, nothing like that. And I was like, oh, that sounds great. And so when my daughter asked if she could download it, I was like, fine. And then all of a sudden, the dark side of the Be Real app came out, which was, of course, one, you could always delay taking the picture. It'll just tell people. And who cares? Nobody cares that you're late taking the picture. And two, all of a sudden now you see what other people are doing and you're not there with them, but other people are there. And so then it becomes this feeling of being left out. And so as these apps try to tweak themselves to protect people's mental health, are they still doing the opposite? Because people just naturally can become offended or hurt or feel left out or have that FOMO. And can we ever really solve it? So the latest app that kind of has to do with that is the Gas app. So we'll get into that. If we have time, I'll get into this new picture app that looks really cool, but you're giving up a lot to have it always. I promise I'll show the raccoon attack because it's absolutely crazy. And if I have time, I'll get to the T Swift tickets. I have so much to do.
I don't know if it's you or me, but during news, I think you should go out and reconnect because you sound crackly and also like you're underwater.
Oh, okay. I will do that right now then. Let's do some news. All right. I will fix that, I promise. But let's do some news right now then with Kim McAllister.
Now, from around the world to up your street, the Nikki Medoro Show presents News Czar Kim McAllister.
And this report is sponsored by tax attorney Steve Moskowitz at 888 Tax Deal. The Supreme Court is signaling that it may actually side with a web designer opposed to same-sex marriage. The High Court heard arguments involving a Colorado graphic designer who refuses to create wedding websites for same-sex couples because it's in conflict with her religious beliefs. The court's conservative majority appeared to favor the designer's First Amendment rights over Colorado's anti-discrimination law. Americans have more time to get the real ID necessary to board flights or enter federal facilities. The Department of Homeland Security announcing the real ID deadline will be pushed back from May 3rd of next year to May 7th of 2025. The DHS said the extension is necessary to address the lingering impacts of the pandemic. Pfizer wants the FDA to authorize its updated COVID-19 shot for young kids. The new vaccine would not be a booster, but rather a third shot in the 3-dose primary series for children under the age of 5. Its formula targets the Omicron subvariants. Attorney Michael Avenatti is being sentenced to another 14 years in federal prison. This time, it's for tax and wire fraud. The sentence handed down in a federal courtroom today in Orange County, California. The judge said Avenatti's sentence will run consecutively with the 5 years that he's already serving for convictions in New York. That was for an extortion racket against Nike and for stealing from his former legal client, adult film star Stormy Daniels. He represented Daniels in her case against former President Trump. Health officials encouraging Americans wear masks to reduce the spread of respiratory illnesses. The CDC director, Rochelle Walensky, said wearing a mask is one of several everyday precautions people can take to reduce their chances of catching or spreading a respiratory virus during the winter. Kyrie Irving is no longer a Nike athlete. Multiple reports say the two sides have parted ways after the company suspended its relationship with Irving a month ago when he posted a link to a film with anti-Semitic messages. Nike said it also will not be releasing Irving's upcoming signature shoe, supposed to be released last month. And Jay-Z is joining the real estate team pushing for a casino in New York City's Times Square. The New York Post reports the billionaire rapper's company is joining SL Green and Caesars Entertainment to build a casino. Jay-Z says it would bring a commitment to economic opportunity, growth, and enrichment for the community and everyone that visits the Empire State. That casino would occupy 8 floors in a 54-story tower. The report, sponsored by tax attorney Steve Moskowitz. For more than 30 years, Steve has put his tax knowledge to work for individuals and businesses alike. If you need help with your good old taxes, give Steve a call at 888-TAX-DEAL. You can find him online as well at moskowitzllp.com. I'm Kim McAllister on The Nikki Medoro Show.
All right, I hope I sound better to you. And I've come up for air. Do I sound better to you, Kim McAllister?
No, but maybe it's me.
Okay, well, you guys tell me in the comments if I sound weird or not.
People in the chat think it sounds good, so it must just be my speaker. Rock on, sister.
Okay, I'm rocking on. Okay, so let's get some gas, shall we? Let's get into the gas app. So I know, Kim, you are like me. When we read headlines like this, what do? We go to our kids and we go, have you heard of this? And don't do this, right? So Gas is the latest app that's getting very popular with kids. And so you're asking yourself, well, what is the Gas app? So gassing somebody up, it's kind of to pump them up, right? That's supposedly how the slang works. But there are things you need to keep in mind. So the goal of this is you create an account. The app it allows you to see their location, so you could select your school and you could select classmates that also use the app. So there's already something I'm concerned with. I don't like locations, and I don't like the fact that I can identify your child. But anyways, so it also requires users give access to their list of contacts. And then every hour, users are given a series of questions such as, who can fake it till they make it? Or always picks dare in Truth or Dare. We'll also get messages such as, what's cooking, good looking? So these are supposed to be positive type things. Okay, like, oh, we're not going negative, we're going positive. But of course, there is a downside. Anyone who can create an account for any high school and see other students who use the app. There is no verification that the kids actually go to the school in which they say they do. Okay. Mm-hmm. It gathers, again, your location, your contacts, your cell phone, your name. It also costs some money, which is the first thing that I would say no to. It's $5 for a $5 a week subscription. You can see 2 name reveals. for $6.99. It will go up to $6.99 after an initial 30% discount. So when people do these polls, you won't see who voted for you, but if you pay $5 a week, you could see 2 names that voted for you. The other problem is, of course, it could be like, who's the most attractive person at our school? And then all of the people included in the poll are what many would say are maybe not the most attractive. Or it's a bunch of people and it's fine, but you never get chosen for it. So that can make you feel
Right.
bad about yourself. So look, I'm not trying to tell you what you should or should not allow your kid to do. When I asked my daughter about it, I was like, have you ever heard of the Gas app? She's like, yeah. Like, knew instantly. She's like, yeah. I was like, do you have it? She's like, no, it's stupid. I was like, okay. So she did, and I know every time she downloads an app on her phone anyway, because I get the notification, but she's heard of it and she thinks it's stupid. So just to let you know, Gas, and this is what it looks like. Because sometimes parents don't understand what the app, so this is what the app looks like. That's what the icon will look like on the phone. It'll look just like that. So if you're on your kid's phone and you see something that looks like this, maybe have a conversation and just be questioning these polls. Because I'll say this isn't too far from yearbooks, right? Most attractive, best smile. Did you ever get one of those?
Yeah.
What were you?
Most spirited.
You're the cheerleader. Of course you were Miss Spirited.
Yeah.
I was class clown, which I think totally fits. So, but yeah, if you're never chosen for any of those things for, let's say, the yearbook, this is just a digital version of that. Right? It's this kind of hierarchy of who makes a list and who doesn't.
What did you get? Did you get anything?
Class clown.
Class clown? Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. I got class clown.
Cute.
Oh yeah, it was 8th grade. In high school, I don't well, again, I wonder if it's a gender thing, because I went to an all-girls high school and I don't believe we had that in our yearbook. If anything, I probably would have been like most likely to get suspended or something stupid like that.
So there was a mean girl who was on my cheerleading squad with me, and she was not nice.
Okay.
And so she was also in yearbook with me. And when I got the most spirited in my senior class, she was a junior, but she wrote the copy underneath the picture.
Okay.
And she wrote, loudest, most obnoxious student on campus. That's what she wrote about me.
What a little bitch.
I mean, I always say consider the source, but it's like, really?
That's not nice.
No, it isn't.
Well, she showed who she was. Right. Somebody was asking, is gassing someone good or bad? So gassing, what it's supposed to mean is to boost someone's ego or like hype them up. Or make something seem more hype than it actually is or was. Like, stop. So you can use it like this. If somebody's like, you look great, you look fabulous, you're going to get that job. You can be like, stop gassing me up, kind of thing. Like they're trying to build you up and you're like, cool it. Or you could just take it and be like, yeah, I am the best. But that's what it's supposed to mean. And I think that's why the app is named Gas.
You're filling someone's tank with love.
Right. You're being a bucket filler and not a bucket dipper, as our school used to say. But you can also be full of crap, right? You can also be doing it in a kind of a snarky way. And so it's like, oh, who's the strongest guy on campus? And it's a bunch of like tiny dudes or something.
Right.
So it's more of an insult. And so that's how it can be used. And again, it all goes back to, being responsible online, talking to our kids about that. And you know what? Not leaving it up to them, not just having the conversation and then never checking their phone. Because believe me, I have all this crap on my kid's phone. I still have to have this conversation with them almost on the daily. That's not nice. Don't do that. What are you texting? Why are you using that language? It's not as if my kids are angels or anything, but you have to keep having the conversation so they know where you stand on it. It's just the right thing to do. Okay, I want to show this video. Did you see the raccoon attack, Kim McAllister? Because it is...
I saw the coyote attack. Did you see the coyote? This guy, he's in his driveway. His little toddler gets out of the car. She kind of waddles across the grass. He goes around to the other side of the car. And this coyote, this happened in Southern California, runs into the yard and starts dragging this little girl down the grass and down the sidewalk.
Oh, no.
And dad's like, no. So he runs at the animal. It drops the girl. and then it just kind of lingers in the street as the dad's kind of,
Oh,
yelling
that
at the
would freak
animal.
me out.
It really was scary. I mean, I looked at it and I thought, well, a coyote's just doing what a coyote would do there, right? I mean, that's
Right.
who they are. That's what happens. But yeah, that was a scary one. Is this similar?
Yeah, you ready?
Yeah.
I'm not laughing. I'm only laughing because it's okay. It ended okay. But watch this crap. Oh my God. It's a raccoon.
Oh God.
Now look.
Oh my God. Moms are
And it's
awesome,
not
though.
letting go of the mom now.
But she's calm. She's like, go inside, go inside.
No, look. Now, watch.
Jesus.
She's trying to throw
Oh my
it.
God.
I would be banging that thing against that pole right there. Oh my God.
The scary thing is that, like, I don't know, I might have taken it and put it in a bag because you don't know if that thing has rabies or not.
Oh, you just assume the damn thing has rabies. You don't need to
Yeah.
find it and start. Yeah, the daughter's starting on rabies. Like she's starting her whole round of rabies. Oh my God. That mom is a hero. Like mom of the year. Like you're not
Oh,
even
yeah.
thinking. It is just
Yeah.
like, get that raccoon off
Get
my
it
kid.
off
And
my
the damn
kid.
raccoon won't let go of you. Obviously, the raccoon is I would say rabid because normally raccoons like they'll scatter, right? They want your trash or something like that. That was insane. That was insane. So yeah, the
I
mom is
will
just saying
never
she'd
forget
never
the
thought.
video that you've just shown me.
Oh
There's a
no.
lot of raccoons around here. Sometimes I'll park where I park in my driveway. We have a fig tree next to the
Okay.
driveway. And raccoons will also often go up into the fig tree to eat the figs. And so if I open the door, they'll scatter. But it's like 2 feet from the car. Now, I will not get out of the car until I see the raccoons go.
No,
Yeah.
no. I mean, the mom did the absolute right thing. Her name is Logan McNamara. Obviously, that was caught on her security camera. She said both she and her daughter were able to go to a hospital. Her daughter, Riley, sustained puncture wounds. McNamara says she thinks her daughter's genes help protect her from sustaining more serious injuries. They both had scratches, but overall, McNamara said they were both okay.
Oh, but that's freaky.
Oh yeah. No, I mean that literally, I mean, not I don't know what I would do, right? You never know exactly what you're going to do, but the fact that she kept trying to swing it, bash it against that white pole on your house, like
That's what
I would
Karen
be
said. Yeah.
bashing that friggin' thing. I don't know. Crazy. Try to get up my kid. No, thank you, thank you. It's nuts. So yeah. Raccoons are thieving little bastards. Yeah. Oh my God, against the pole. Yes. We should just watch that video. Let's watch that video one more time. I'm
That's
telling you. Let's do a
scary.
play-by-play of this. Are you guys ready? Because literally, there's a pole right there. The mom did exactly the right thing. I'm not criticizing. I'm just saying if that was me, hell to the yeah, I would be bashing it against that pole right there. I mean, look at that thing. It's just going after her. Right, and it's not scared at all. No. Like right there, bam.
I love how she just stands there for a second. Okay, go inside.
I
Go
know,
inside.
stop.
This thing is on her arm, and she's like, go inside.
They're like, they won't let go. Bash it. Bash it against the white pole. Oh, Jesus, Lord Almighty. I don't know. That's the best video ever. She's a badass, and I'd want her to be my mom if I was ever attacked by a raccoon. Oh my God. So yeah, stay away from them damn things. That thing was not scared at all. Yeah. All right.
I'm trying to bring you
Okay.
the video. Let's see
Oh,
if I
the
can,
coyote?
yeah, let's see
Let
if
me
I can
see.
get it to you. Hold on.
Okay, yeah, because smash it with an iron rod. Yeah, I would have beat that raccoon. I mean, I'm not trying to be all animal hater over here, but if an animal is attacking my child, I am going to attack that animal back. I mean, you don't want to get anything on you, but geez, you definitely don't want them to attack your kid. All right, here we go. Let's see.
So he's explaining. Here's the video. You can see.
Can you extend it on the bottom right in the corner right there? Can you extend the video right there? Yeah. There we go. Okay.
Oh, they have the interview. Hopefully
So
they'll show in just a
she's
second.
talking about it, I'm sure.
She's
She's
probably
like, so
like,
there's a crazy
"This."
coyote. Here we go. Oh my God.
And he's on the other side of the car. He doesn't see, and then he sees, and he's like, But then watch that coyote, how brave it is. And like you'd think it would run and run and run. No, watch it just lingers there for a second.
Oh, I would be so. Oh no. Oh yeah, good job, Dad. Throw something at it.
Right?
See?
Yeah.
Oh my God. Look at that thing. I saw a coyote coming into Station X not too long ago. Remember the coyotes that were all roaming around because people were
Yeah.
gone? And this was just right before we got laid off. So them coyotes, they're like, we want this world back. That's what we want. Okay, so T Swift fans. I know there's a lawsuit. They are suing Ticketmaster, okay, because they want these tickets. Well, if you're looking for tickets and you live in Atlantic City, so I think this is only in Atlantic City. There's a place called Bar 32. It's a dessert and cocktail spot, and they are geniuses. They are giving the T Swift ticket fiasco the Willy Wonka treatment. Okay. So the owners of B32 Chocolate created thousands of limited edition Taylor Swift chocolate bars to give fans a chance to win tickets to her upcoming tour. So one of the owners says, since opening Bar 32, my business partner, Mark Colazzo, and I have been looking for an opportunity to do a Wonka style golden ticket opportunity. We both grew up on the Charlie and the Chocolate Factory book and the movie, and it just seemed right. The only question was, what was the contest? Fast forward to Taylor Swift. Mark calls me and says, what do you think about doing a golden ticket contest for Taylor Swift fans who got shut out of buying their tickets to the concert in Philadelphia? So they purchased 2 tickets. I don't know how much they paid for them. 2 tickets to the Philadelphia show happening May 13th. Oh, they bought it from a third-party vendor, so they spent a lot of money. They whipped up 3,000 limited edition 60% dark chocolate bars. And they have broken candy cane pieces inside, which sounds delicious. Each bean to bar chocolate bar will have a number, and that number is tied to the purchaser's name and order. On Christmas Day, the Bar 32 team will select the lucky winner of 2 tickets from a drawing on Instagram Live. They say they can't wait for fans to try the special chocolate bar. We expected to sell out knowing how coveted Taylor Swift tickets are. It's a win-win because you can't lose. Even if you don't get the concert tickets, you still have a great stocking stuffer chocolate bar. I think they want the tickets. I think that's genius. Absolutely genius. Now I don't know. I wanted to see if they had a link. I don't know if you would be able to buy the chocolate bar if you don't live in Philadelphia. I'm going to see. I'm looking on their website right now, and I don't see anything actually about it, but they're going to do it. So you can give it a shot and see if you can buy the ticket. I don't know if you have to go into the store or what you have to do, but you can Google it and figure it out that way, because these tickets, I mean, what do you think? You think Ticketmaster is really going to be punished at all for this? I don't think so.
Probably not.
Exactly.
A slap on the wrist. You need to revamp your protocols, right? And that's it.
I mean, I don't know how they could really fix it for fans. The only person I really do think can fix it is Taylor Swift. She would need to extend her tour, sell more tickets, and not let Ticketmaster handle it. Although I think the whole argument though about them having, a monopoly is true. I
I
mean,
read somewhere that you can somewhere, I know, really factual, fact based, right? Somewhere I read that you can only if you're like a big performer in a big sold out stadiums, you can
right,
only those stadiums will only work with Ticketmaster, so you have no
right.
choice.
Yes.
So if you want to perform at, say, pick a massive venue,
Yeah, at Levi Stadium or SAP or
that's your only
whatever.
option is Ticketmaster,
Yeah,
because they will only work with that company.
exactly.
So in that case, the government may be able to say you need to offer, more options to performers so that they don't have to choose Ticketmaster and can choose something else.
Yeah, I mean, I think I could be wrong, but I think it's 70 to 80% of these venues have that kind of deal where,
Mhm.
you if you want to perform at, let's say, SAP Center and you're Taylor Swift, you have to go through Ticketmaster/Live Nation. And that's ridiculous.
Right.
So, um, I mean, that's a longer process of kind of getting away from that sort of thing. I'm going to assume it's a contract negotiation that would need to happen. But I think that if there is any artist that can get the ball rolling on ending that kind of requirement, it would be someone like Taylor Swift. Because it's ridiculous what those tickets are going for. It's absolutely ridiculous. And I do have time for this story. So I had mentioned earlier, I was teasing that, the legislative session in California started today. It's just a ceremony. The work really begins after the holidays in January. But one of the things that happened today was Governor Newsom is formally starting his campaign to punish big producers of oil by asking the legislature to fine them. So he wants to deter price gouging by imposing a financial penalty on excessive profit margins with the money returned to Californians. He also asked for bills to increase transparency and regulatory oversight of the industry to evaluate pricing and supply shortages. Now, there used to be a windfall tax, then it went away. The worry about having even a price gouging penalty is it reduce the incentive for oil producers to keep up production, right? I mean, if they're not making a lot of money. I feel like that there is a compromise somewhere in there that I hope we can get to, because obviously we're being price gouged in California and we don't know literally where every cent that we pay for gas is actually going. So
Did
let's figure out that question first.
Did you figure I don't know, maybe you had this thought, I sure did, that
Mm,
right now as the governor is trying to penalize oil companies for price gouging,
right.
is when the gas price goes down. So it's like the
Yes.
minute they're called to special session, the minute that, that we're going to highlight what they've been doing, now gas is $3.99 at the Arco in Marin.
Well, but I mean, it's also winter blend. It's that time of year. I don't think
Mhm.
people are going to forget how much we've been paying for gas. So I think any time is a good time to
Yeah.
start,
Mhm.
pressuring these oil companies and gas stations. Severin Borenstein with UC Berkeley, he was saying it's also us and the retail place we go to. Stop being married to name brand gas stations. That little corner one that's the no name one that's cheaper, and you're like, oh, but it's dirty gas or it doesn't have all the cleansers. Stop with that nonsense. Buy it. Buy the cheapest gas there is. You don't necessarily need to go to these big name Chevron or anything like that because they charge more. And it's a brand that you're buying. Um, just get the cheapest gas. That's the way to do it, because otherwise you're gouging yourself and not looking for the cheapest price.
Yeah.
Eric Kennedy, let's see Gavin Newsom hold PG&E to task.
Mhm.
Absolutely. Oh my
Yeah.
God, what was that story last week that the penalties or something, the regulations on PG&E were going away or something? They do. The CPUC is supposed to look over PG&E, and they're both in bed with each other.
Yeah.
It's absolutely ridiculous. There's no difference, in my opinion, between the CPUC and PG&E when it comes to regulations at all.
Mhm.
Absolutely right. There's also no regulations. I'm going to end the show on this. I'm going to shock you. Are you ready? And maybe you won't be shocked. Maybe you've tried to do this and you're like, yep, that's how much it costs nowadays. From gas stations to bowling alleys. I was shocked. So my kids have been wanting to go bowling. And I've mentioned this before. I'm like, God, going bowling is expensive. It used to be, $10 or something, and you'd be able to bowl for a couple of hours. I am going to show you what they wanted to charge me for a family of 4 to go bowling for 2 hours. Are you ready, people?
Are you kidding me?
$305.37.
How
This
many games was that?
one. Well, it's 2 hours. You can bowl as much as you want for 2 hours. It was because it was at 7 to 9 PM on a Saturday. This was prime. So I guess it costs more. One lane for 2 hours alone was $181.60. Shoe rentals time 4, $25. Then, and I'm calling out this company. I could give two poops about it. Because I guess I wanted to reserve it. I don't understand why they do this. Every single person in our party was charged a $20 food and beverage fee. And if you didn't use it, it was put on a gift card so you can come back and use the rest,
No,
which
no,
gets you back
no.
in there
No.
to spend more money.
No.
There was an event fee for $18. I don't know what event I was having. I'm assuming that's for the reservation. But yeah, with all the taxes for 2 hours of bowling, $305.37. I said no. I was like, yeah, no, we're not doing that.
No. Are you kidding me?
Look at that. Look at that. And I don't mind putting the company's name. That's what they charge. That's what they charge. Isn't that ridiculous? I mean, I like bowling. It used to be, think about going out on a date. I used to go bowling on dates.
No, that's
Not
just
for that. Take it for half it.
there's
$150? No way.
There's a bowling alley in Petaluma, actually not too far from where I live, and it is not that expensive. And they've worked with me on putting school functions together. They've been wonderful, and they don't charge for food and beverages that you haven't even consumed. No.
Yeah. Well,
none of
okay, so
that.
this is what I'm thinking. This is how I'm trying to make sense. And again, I'll throw up the picture again because it still blows my mind. The only thing I could think of is the convenience of reserving a lane. So I've been to this place before and just walked in. And what ends up happening is you wait and
Right.
wait and wait. And so you're in the restaurant and you're spending money anyway. And so why not have to wait and be able to go right in? But still, like, my kids are not going to eat $20 worth of food, especially not my daughter who's on like, her special diet right now. So that's not happening. Now, could I eat and drink with, if I'm going to have a cocktail or two, $20? Probably. But to throw this in as a convenience is ridiculous.
Well,
Why not just let me reserve a lane because
Yeah.
I got here earlier in the day and I'm able to do it?
To throw it in as you must give us $80 for
Yes.
food that you may not want, that's ridiculous. And so if you walk in, even though you have to wait, then you don't have to pay the $181.
I don't know, but I would assume so. I would assume that if I just go in there, then I'd have to wait for the lane. That's, again, a huge assumption. There was no, I went on their FAQ. I was trying to find that answer. There's nothing on there about that. I guess I could have called, but I didn't.
What's an event fee?
Exactly. I'm not having an event, but I would assume maybe also the reservation. But it's like this nickel and diming BS that these companies do, which is ridiculous.
And then they'll wonder why they went out of business. Well, you know what? Because you were gouging people.
Exactly.
Ridiculous.
Well, but you know what? Most of the time, on the weekends, which is when you want to do things with your family, of course, they have like, oh, come on Wednesday in the middle of the day, and it's so cheap. Who the hell's going bowling in the middle of the day on the week? My kids are at school. I'm at work. Like, we're not doing that right now. It's just, it's not feasible for the average family to do something like that. So calling them out. You want to talk about price gouging? That is price gouging.
Yeah.
Speaking about money and asking for money, I want to give some shout outs to people who have been so generous during the show. Jim Slayton started us off with $4.99. Lori, you are so awesome.
Lori above the bar.
$20 super sticker. You
Love
guys
her.
are amazing. And again, the super chat and the super thanks and all that just goes into the kind of the pot for us to keep this show going. And we really do appreciate it. Kevin Hobbs throwing in $24. Thank you. And I appreciate it. You guys, this is what we need to keep the show going. And I know that it's tough. It's holidays. We're all kind of watching our pennies. Believe me, I am too. But we really do appreciate it. And again, if you want to become a monthly subscriber to the Nikki Medoro Show, just go to thenikkimedoroshow.com and become a monthly subscriber to our Patreon. That's the consistent money that we're bringing in addition to our friend and founding supporter, Steve Moskowitz, 888 Tax Deal. On that note, I want to play you something as we start to end the show. Steve does these amazing podcasts with Chip Franklin. It's like this Ask the Tax Man type of video. So you'll be seeing more and more. Since we missed Steve today, let me play one for you right now. I haven't filed a tax return in years. What should I do?
Not filing a tax return for years isn't a surprisingly common problem. And the number one reason people don't file is just because they didn't have the money in year one, and then year two runs around, and then they say, well, how can I file year two if they didn't file year one and they still don't have the money? And then it becomes a lifestyle, a criminal-like lifestyle. The other reason is somebody depended on somebody, a spouse, a business partner, they're gone, they don't know what to do. The bottom line is we can get all of the records that the IRS and the state has on you. We'll file all the returns that you need to file, no matter how many years it is. And then if you're the typical person and you just don't have the money to pay the taxes, that's okay. There's all kinds of good options for you. In almost all cases, we do everything for you. You don't have to talk to the government, deal with them, have anything to do with them. And don't stick your head in the sand, because the IRS is hiring 87,000 new IRS agents, and you don't want them knocking on your door.
This is not legal advice, and you should consult with your tax attorney or professional. All right, so big thank you to all of you for tuning in. Tomorrow I will get into that new app that everybody's been using that takes really cool pictures, but of course, you're giving them a heck of a lot in return. Big thanks to Kim McAllister and all of you. Again, give a thumbs up before the show ends. It helps us out. And go to thenikkimedoroshow.com to become a monthly subscriber to our Patreon. Until tomorrow.
Nikki, you're all so awesome. You're proud, like a beautiful blossom. You're also the best. I really can't rest. You're all so awesome.
Wow. Okay.